Kia ora, Tony Wood here, the minister at the Johnsonville Uniting Church, with this week's devotional thought for you. Quite a while ago now, I was sitting in a group discussion alongside a very close and personal friend. And that close and personal friend said to the group, when I want to reward myself, I go down to the supermarket and I go to the bulk bins and I fill up a bag of my favourite lollies. And then I go and get the number of a cheaper item and write that on the bulk bin bag, and that's what I go and pay. And immediately someone else who was sitting there said, "But that's stealing." To which my friend justified it by saying, "But don't you see how much supermarkets make in a year? It doesn't make any difference to them. It's not stealing if they don't even notice and they can afford to do without it." There's a couple of things I've thought about afterwards on that conversation. And the first is the fact that that person, my friend, had no sense of guilt about what they were doing, that they would just share it in an open group of people. And the second thing I thought about was also, as a Christian and as a fairly decent income earner, they had no reason to be doing that. They could easily have simply paid the bill. They had the money for it and they weren't poor. I was reminded of that conversation this week when I read in the newspaper about a very large British supermarket chain who was doing away with their self-checkouts. And the reason they were doing it, they said, was because of middle-class theft. Not the poor people stealing stuff that they couldn't otherwise pay for, but middle-class wage earners writing the wrong numbers on bulk bin bags and not paying the correct amount. And the theft had got so high that they said it will be cheaper for us to simply pay the wages of another checkout operator and have them there full time, making sure people are paying the right amount for the proper products. In Proverbs chapter 3, it says, "Let love and truthfulness be a garland that is around your neck that never leaves you." And a garland was an item like often a necklace or a headband or an ornament you hung in your house of flowers or of symbols that reminded you of a particular thing, so it was always before your eyes. Proverbs 3 is saying, as Christians, that's what truthfulness should be to us, something that never leaves us. In Luke 16, Jesus, of course, said, those who show they are honest in little things will be given bigger things to do by God. But those who are dishonest with little things will never be given bigger things to do by God. That is because, as Christians, we represent God to the world. So what sort of image are we putting before the world if we're dishonest in the little things we do? If we want to see God's blessing and love from the Holy Spirit break out in our churches and communities, it begins with being honest in the little things that we think no one else cares or even notices, except that in reality, it is a much bigger issue than we pretend, because it's about showing who we are and also whose we are. God bless you and have a great weekend.